5 fragrances that every man needs?
Well, gosh, I gotta go buy these right now.
No.
Don't do that.
Don't go out and buy all of these fragrances that you see on the list. If you're intrigued by any of these, then by all means get yourself a sample, but don't just rush out and blind buy these fragrances. Look, when I'm talking about these fragrances, I'm sharing with you guys my opinions, my experiences, which are going to be different than yours. We might have some similarities that we share, but we might also have some differences. So always remember that when I'm talking about these fragrances, I'm sharing with you my own thoughts and opinions and experiences about these fragrances. So,
should you trust what I say about these fragrances?
Well, I think you should definitely take it with a grain of salt. If my descriptions sound interesting or intriguing, then by all means get yourself a sample of these. But do not blind buy any of the fragrances that you see on the list today. What I've decided to do with this video is I went through my collection and I've decided to break it down into category. So those categories are based off certain notes. So the notes that I've chosen to talk about today will be vetiver, lavender, rose, tobacco, and oud. So if you're curious to see the fragrances that I've chosen, then let's go. So the first fragrance category that we're talking about is vetiver, and we have Sultan Vetiver by Nishane. Man, so this one is the king of vetivers, hence the name Sultan, which means king. This fragrance is transportive. It takes you on a journey through all the different facets of vetiver. This fragrance is so interesting because it comes off very damp, earthy, green, but it also has a slight freshness that it gives off. I really enjoy wearing this one. This one takes you on a journey from beginning to end, and it is just gorgeous. Now, you really have to love the note of vetiver because it is a slap in the face. But if you do, if you are a vetiver lover, then this is definitely one to check out. Performance on this is phenomenal, as with most Nishanes. And so yeah, this is a banger. For me, vetiver gives off like a very masculine and almost kind of like professional tone. I don't see vetiver as being like a sexy note by any means. This isn't a sexy fragrance, and this isn't necessarily a fragrance that you're gonna get compliments from. But basically with this one, you are getting that heavy blast of vetiver from beginning to end. But like I said, there's 4 different types of vetiver, so it's taking you through all the different facets. So that's what I really love about this. You're also getting a little bit of citruses in here and also a bit of leather. The leather is tucked in the background, so you don't really pick up a whole lot on that. But yeah, this is such a gorgeous, extremely well done. This was created by one of my favorite perfumers, Jorge Lee, and he has just created a borderline masterpiece in my humble opinion. I love this one, and it is my favorite vetiver fragrance. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Sultan Vetiver by Nishane. All right, so next up, we're diving into the note of lavender. And my choice for that note is Sartorial from Penhaligon's. Man, so this fragrance falls into the category of being fougere. I love fougères. Fougères come off as very classic, masculine, just very fresh and clean and quite refined. So yeah, this fragrance has a heavy dose of lavender. It kind of gives it that fresh, clean barbershop smell. You also have some honey in here to give it a bit of sweetness. And it also has a very interesting metallic note. So when Penhaligon's was creating this fragrance, they kind of want to replicate, I guess, like the smells that you might experience if you're going to like a tailor shop, freshly pressed hot iron shirts. That's the vibe that they were trying to give off, and I think they captured it in this fragrance. This is a great one from beginning to end. Like I said before, just very clean, classic, masculine, and this is a 10 out of 10 fougere. Yeah, Penhaligon's is kind of known for creating fragrances and then discontinuing them quite quickly, but Sartorial has been, I think, around for like 10 or 12 years, something like that. So it's really stood the test of time, and like I said, this fragrance is a 10 out of 10, so I can definitely understand why it really is that good. And it's definitely one to to check out, especially if you like the genre of fougere or if you really enjoy the note of lavender. This is a stunner. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Sartorial from Penhaligon's. All right, the next fragrance note that we're diving into is rose. And from the house of Amouage, we have Lyric Man. I think rose is a note that's so misunderstood by many men, and I used to be one of those guys. You know, I always shied away from the note of rose because I saw it as being a feminine note, and I missed out on so much. But once I truly experienced the note, I fell in love with it, and I have many rose fragrances in my collection, and I would say that this is probably the easiest, or one of the easiest rose fragrances to wear, especially if you're a guy just getting into the note of rose. This is a great place to start. This is basically just kind of almost like fresh, clean rose water. That's basically what I get here. You know, it does have that also traditional kind of Amouage incense in here, but it's tucked away in the background. You don't really pick up on the incense so much in this fragrance. It's in there, but it's subtly tucked in the background. But yeah, you just get that nice kind of fresh, clean, slightly green rose, and it is just extremely refreshing. This fragrance right here is very, very versatile. You can wear this fragrance in any season and for any occasion, in my humble opinion. I love this one. I think, you know, I haven't worn this one in a while, so I think this is gonna be my fragrance of the day, honestly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's do 6. Oh man, this one smells just so fresh, clean, and sexy in the air. I love this one. Such an easy wear and a stunner from the house. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Lyric Man by Amouage. All right, so the next fragrance note that we'll be talking about is tobacco. And from the house of Maison Violet, we have Un Air d'Apogée. Man, so this one has to be one of the best tobacco fragrances ever made, in my opinion. I really, really love this one. So this fragrance is basically a sexy, slightly sweet, honeyed tobacco fragrance. But the interesting thing is this fragrance doesn't have any honey in it, but it does have the note of mimosa. And mimosa can give off a honey-like vibe when it's used in fragrances, and that's definitely what you get here. But basically, on initial spray, you get that strong, delicious blast of honey mixed with that tobacco, and then you get a bit of hay that starts to push forward, which gives it a slight earthiness. And then when you move into the dry down, you get a very, very subtle leather tone that starts to push forward. But yeah, this fragrance is so gorgeous. And I think in terms of sillage, this fragrance has one of the best smells ever. I'm telling you, it is absolutely gorgeous. And this fragrance was perfumed by one of my favorite perfumers, Natalie Lorsan, and she's actually perfumed, I think, all of the fragrances from the house of Maison Violet. If you haven't checked out anything from the house of Maison Violet, try to get yourself a sample set. All their fragrances are really, really good, but I would say Un Air d'Apogée and Sketch are probably my favorite two from that brand. But yeah, Natalie Lorsan has just created a banger. It's a stunner and definitely one of the best smells ever, in my humble opinion. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Un Air d'Apogée by Maison Violet. All right, and finally we'll be talking about the note of oud. So from the house of Maison Crivelli, we have Oud Maracuja. Man, what can I say? This fragrance is a stunner. I would say the interplay between the passion fruit and the oud that you get in here is absolutely magical. This fragrance has so much personality. I mean, it's a statement maker from beginning to end. You know, the oud in here is quite westernized. It's very easy on the nose. It doesn't have a barnyardy or skanky vibe at all. And also one thing that I really love about this is just that passion fruit note. It's very unique, and on my skin, it lasts through the life of the fragrance. Now it does start to tone down a bit as you move into the dry down, but on initial spray, you get that heavy, heavy blast of passion fruit. But again, you know, it does last through the life of the fragrance on my skin. But when this fragrance starts to dry down, you do start to get a very, very subtle note of leather that starts to push forward, but it's not leather dominant. At least it's not on my skin. But I have heard other people say that that leather note is quite intense and strong on their skin, so they would almost kind of consider this fragrance a leather-based fragrance. But on my skin, I get that passion fruit and the oud, that westernized oud, that is just magical. And like I said before, the combination of the two and the way it's blended, it's just gorgeous. But I will give out a little warning about this. This fragrance is eternal. It is not coming off once you get it on the skin. And if you get it on the clothes, good luck. You know, when I wear this fragrance, if I spray it on skin, after I've taken multiple showers, I can still smell it. Like once I spray it on skin, I'll usually be able to still smell it on skin 2 days later. So this stuff is quite strong. So, you know, if you're not a fan of very kind of eternal or heavy, strong fragrances, then this may not be your cup of tea. For me, talking about my own experience, like I like my fragrances, I like other people to experience my fragrances in kind of subtlety. I don't really like to shove them in their face. So when I wear this fragrance, I usually just do one spray. That's all I need. Performance is very, very heavy. So, you know, but to each his own, you know, spray as much as you like. But for me, I typically do one spray. If I'm gonna be outdoors, and I know I'm gonna be outdoors for the majority of the day, I might do 2. But if I'm gonna be indoors, then just 1. That's really all you need. And for my own personal preference, that's all I need. But, you know, do what you love. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Oud Maracuja by Maison Crivelli. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. And let me know down in the comments section, have you tried any of these fragrances that you saw on the list today? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on them. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.